Hey everyone, welcome to our 9th podcast. I have the very lovely, lethal Tiffany Trichter.
That's correct.
In as a guest today. So sorry if I boogered that up, but anyway, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So today we're just going to take a look at, like I said, when we seen your profile, we were really excited. We were introduced to your profile by Bastian Coves from Bastinelli Knives, and he's like, "Hey, bro, check this out. She really can handle her knives and handle the martial arts and all this stuff." So it gained a little bit of an interest for us to try to connect with, a lot of female users and things along those lines. So we really love your style. So welcome on board, and we're very, very interested to learn about you today. So tell us just a little bit about your background and where you've been.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me here. I'm very excited about being here with you guys. My background comes from doing a Filipino martial arts. It's called PTK, Pikiti Teresa Kali.
Oh, nice.
And so it's the emphasis is on edged and impact weapons and empty-handed techniques. Obviously, my favorite aspects are with the blade. So I've been training now I'm entering into my 6th year.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, have you ever traveled maybe overseas to learn any of this stuff, or has it all been stateside pretty much?
Just good old home.
Just good old home. Mm-hmm. That's cool. So tell me a little bit more. We see that you not only handle, edge weapons and stuff, but we see you handling, like fighting sticks and bow staffs and all these things. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it's interesting because with this particular art, you actually start with weapons in your hand instead of being empty-handed. The sticks are actually quite versatile. So the ones that we generally work with are about 3 feet long. And so you close your fist. We have a little bit, the puño, butt sticks out a little bit so we can hook and strike with it. And then where the fist close, where the knuckles are lined up, this represents where the blade would be on a sword. Or a knife,
That's really interesting. I've been around, edge weapons and stuff all my life, so I can't attest that I'm a knife fighter. Typically for me, it's going to be firearms related at that point. I feel that, having to be in a situation where you would have to use a knife would be extremely, a very difficult situation, I think, for any of the parties involved, because I think unlike what you see on TV where the guys are slashing each other and everything else, getting cut, I think, usually would probably end a situation in a hurry. Absolutely.
I think for women specifically, I have a black belt, but still, I would much prefer to have a weapon than no weapon at all.
Sure.
Physics, men are built bigger than women.
Of course.
Bone density, muscle strength. So as a woman, I need to have a force multiplier or an equalizer. And the knife definitely puts the odds in my favor so that I can protect myself and get away.
Absolutely. So tell me just a little bit about, I see you do some instructing as well.
Yes.
Tell me about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I teach at my teacher's school, and that's down in Austin, Texas. It's the Para Academy, P-A-R-R-A. And then I also teach at a jiu-jitsu school in Lockhart called Active Jiu-Jitsu.
That's nice. Mm-hmm. I dig jiu-jitsu in a big way. I wish there was a school around here. I think there might be, and there's probably no excuse for me. But I feel that particular style of, fighting or grappling or however is probably the most effective. Most of the people that I know that fight professionally, jiu-jitsu seems to be the way. Would you agree? Or
there's a through line, self-defense speaking, in jiu-jitsu. Obviously, in a street defense, like a street fight scenario, you're not going to be there's going to be punches being rained down on you. There could be multiple attackers. You might be getting kicked, bit, scratched. Yeah. So there's some other contingencies at play there. Mm-hmm. Whereas with jiu-jitsu, you can't do any of those things. So you have to make adjustments for that, right? But when it comes to submissions and learning how to hold position and control space and understanding angles, absolutely.
That's kind of cool.
Indispensable.
So what is if you were to say, hey, because everybody has their, I call it the kung fu, or has that, superhuman strength or that forte that they, that recognizes them. What is your superhero strength? What do you say your strong point is? As far as like, whatever, it could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be, martial arts, but what is your, if you had one skill set level or one attribute to you that would describe you the best, what would it be?
That's a good question. I would say that I have the arrogance of belief. Like, I believe in myself. And on a long enough timeline, if I don't know how to do something, I will sit there and hammer away at it until I can learn it.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting. So tell me a little bit. I know you do some work with, cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
So today we're drinking Purple Angel. It's I think it's some type of blend, and I don't think it's that bad.
Oh, it's good.
It's, I seen it and, colorful bottle, everything else. It seemed to have a good thing. It was priced moderately, but I think everybody that's tried it tonight is enjoying it. So cheers.
Yeah,
cheers to that.
You. Mm-hmm.
For a lot of people that, know me, I'm not a wine professional or nothing like that, but I've had an opportunity to try a few different ones and travel abroad and try things that I like and dislike. So it's always fun to try a little something different.
Absolutely.
But getting back on the drinks and stuff like that, what is your favorite go-to?
So I enjoy Japanese whiskey.
Nice.
Especially with a pickleback for a chaser.
Yeah, we did end up finding the pickle juice and stuff, but anyway, I didn't get a chance to go look. I think I have a Hibiki or something back there, but
we'll try it. That stuff is dangerous because you'll chase it and you're like, I don't taste anything. And the more you drink, the more you're like, it just goes down.
Pickles have never been my forte. I mean, if
really?
I think I'm fucking allergic to pickles.
You don't
because
like pickles?
I don't know. I love cucumbers, and I could stomach a Chick-fil-A sandwich in case they slide a pickle in there. Or sometimes I'm like, hey, could I get a number 1 no pickle? No. And it comes out and it's got 10 pickles on it.
So I use pickle juice. That's my secret ingredient in fajitas.
Oh, cool! Wow,
it's so good.
Interesting.
And guacamole.
Guacamole? Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little guacamole goes a long way. Mm-hmm. So getting back on it, I know that you do some work with, the canines and stuff like that. Tell me how you got into that.
So I grew up in a family of dog trainers. So I was just around it from the very beginning, just learning how to interact with them and read them. And when I moved to Austin this time, about 6 years ago, I decided I'm just going to focus on doing what brings me joy and nothing else. There's just no more time to waste because you can wind up being successful at things you don't want to do in life. And I'd already, experienced that. And so I wanted to do things that I was passionate about. And so with dogs, my heart was always in that. So I jumped straight back in, started working and started my own company. And I've been doing that now for 5 years.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the most challenging? Have you ever been bit by a dog?
I've been bit by one dog, and it was my mother's little shithead Shih Tzu, Rudy, and he lives up to his name. I tried to hug my stepdad goodbye, and he bit me on the ankle.
I know what that's like because previously we had a little dog. His name is Gizmo. I don't know, this dog's like 150 years old, but if he was any bigger than what he is, I think he weighs like 10 pounds. I remember because he would always be very territorial to my wife at the time. And I'd try to get in bed and he'd bite me on my face or anything else. He was he's still a little alpha male, and he would eat before any of the bigger dogs would. And like I said, he's survived the dog holocaust between getting bit by another big dog and missing fur and everything else. But I know the little dog syndrome all too well. Mm-hmm. I think the latest dog that I have, his name's Kune. Of course, Big J keeps an eye on him because I travel a lot. Mm-hmm. But we got him from Coastline Canine. Great dogs. I love the males. They're probably one of the most unique breeds I've ever had an opportunity to work with.
Absolutely.
And a ton of work. And a lot of times what we're finding is that when these dogs come in, I think a majority of the training is training me.
Absolutely.
How to handle the dog and handle the commands. And it's usually, I'm the one that's usually, confusing the dog to the point where it's like, hey, you got to follow, this is what the language that they understand, the movements, everything else. But I will say, we've always had big German Shepherds at home, which have been great, lovely animals. Of course, the little Papillon Poodle, stuff like that. And we got a Moosey dog one time. It was a little rescue dog that we picked up, which is really cool. And a mommy cat once. We had a cat for 50 years. But the males probably, like I said, if I ever had to go back to another dog or, be around any kind of animal, that's probably been the most effective experience I've had, especially from a personal perspective standpoint. Mm. So,
you were sharing a little bit about that.
Yeah. And even though I got purchased the dog from Coastline Canine, it's Byron and Lena, probably did the most effective training between myself and Kune as well, probably the most effective. So I think that they've even broken off and made their own company, and I'm really super, super excited for them because they're a super effective team, and they do a ton of like great work between their handlers, owners, and also the actual dogs themselves.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like most of the stuff I do is, pet obedience for the everyday dog owner, but
Sure.
I have gotten to spend some time with the sheriff's office and SWAT, working with their canines and running drills, like pulling suspects out of cars and doing like room clearing and CQB. And that stuff is a lot of fun. So, and you can do that with your dog is pretty amazing.
And that's the thing, so, what I've learned is I think, most of the animals that work with LEO or work with military, they're trained for certain tasks and certain purposes, what I understand, and it's very distinctive and very defined. When you get animals that are in the realm of personal protection for families, it's held to a super, super high level. Nothing like having a animal of that caliber is held to a whole different standard because, again, you don't want it to bite a child or bite an unsuspected weary person. How does the dog differentiate between me and you goofing off or, getting a little funky in the kitchen or whatever, and the dog not getting upset and thinking that it's a scenario. So, the amount of training that goes into these personal protection dogs, anybody that does it, including yourself, I have a high esteem and respect for it because it's incredible stuff. And the things that I've learned over the past couple of years have been pretty interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Changed my whole perspective on that whole dynamic.
I would even liken it to your own skill set with the firearms and the knife making. I mean, it's just small successive approximations towards building out something special. And you have that with the dogs as well.
Absolutely. It's a constant practice. I mean, even though, I've been making the knives now for over 28 years, it's a constant. I'm always constantly learning something new or, finding new techniques and new horizons, new challenges in the industry and everything else. So it's, you're right. It's a constant practice, constant practice. So tell me, you said you like guns.
I do. I do have a fondness for guns.
Tell us about it.
Well, I decided that I needed to get my knowledge and skill set more on par with my weapons training with martial arts. So I started learning to do tactical shooting with pistol, and then that slowly graduated into doing stuff with the rifle.
I see. I see. Like I mentioned before, I think you should definitely take a look at shooting some 3-gun. I think I could super, tell that you're super competitive anyway, but, a lot of time it's really not to compete with maybe the next person, but just a competition with yourself to just do a little bit better. But as far as coordination, hand and eye, just and technique itself, I think it'd be a good one for you to just check out. Even if you just did it, from the perspective of just going and trying it a little bit.
What would you recommend for like a first competition for someone like me?
Any of them? There's so many different competitions every weekend. I mean, they're all over the country, so, novice ones. And the thing about it is if you could start, make a couple friends that are into it, because then you can hang with them a little bit. They'll teach you gear. They'll teach you what to shoot. It's all in the preference of you, but there's a lot of ladies that shoot, 3-gun and really smoking at it too. But I think, if your interest is in, the general handling of the firearms and being reactive and everything else, I couldn't think of a better tool. I mean, there's all kinds of different tactical classes and, all kinds of crazy shit that you can do. But I'm going to say probably, I've been around firearms all my life. And I don't claim to be an expert, but I totally relearned how to rewire myself and learn how to shoot properly and the dynamics of it, because I work with some of the best guys in the industry that shoot, but they retaught me. And luckily I was able to, come to the table with no preconceived notions, that John Wayne effect. Well, I already know how to shoot. I already know how to handle a firearm. I knew nothing when it came to doing this stuff. And it's probably been the best experience over probably the last like 6-7 years, just training with some of my teammates, going to the competition, seeing where I really screw up. I've been able to survive it without either shooting a hole in my leg or anything else, or, been disqualified a couple times, but it's like anything else. If you don't push the envelope on how far you can go with safety in mind,
of course,
you're not pushing the limits, but I would definitely recommend it for sure.
What sort of firearms did they use specifically for that competition?
Again, there's so many different matches. I mean, they have, I get them always screwed up. I mean, they have like, like tac ops is typically what I would shoot, which is on a pistol would be iron sights only. Okay. A shotgun, again, iron sights, and it would be limited capacity to a certain extent. And then, of course, a rifle would be allowed an optic, but with no bipods or nothing like that. If you're shooting open, that's different. You could shoot banana mags, you could shoot high capacity scopes, compensators, bags, shotguns with higher capacity limits and everything else. So there would be different divisions that you can shoot depending on, the amount of money you want to spend on freaking gear. So I thought a little bit more, sometimes they would shoot a rifle pistol, or they would shoot just strictly shotgun, or some of the DMR matches would just strictly be rifle or rifle oriented. So you could hit, or there's some of them that just shoot nothing but pistol. It could be plates and shooting steel and all these other things. So you could learn a ton. But I will say it's probably the most addictive thing that I've gotten into, and probably one of the more expensive, parts of my hobby, because, everybody knows that I collect machine guns and all that sort of stuff. I mean, those are expensive to begin with. And that's a different thing, different dynamic for us. But the competition gear, again, could get pretty expensive over the course of some time, but very addictive, very informative.
It's a good addiction, I would think.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. And some of the matches you could shoot have been fun because you could shoot more, tactical style matches. Sometimes you go shoot a night match, which is probably the most fun I've ever had in my life with night vision.
That does sound fun.
Just like we shot, I think the last match I shot was the Duskin 3-gun, which was well orchestrated. It was a kind of invite only for us, but we got an opportunity to work amongst some amazing, amazing people. And it was an honor just to be there and get my ass kicked, Yeah.
Totally.
And absolutely 100%.
That sounds like so much fun. The night vision one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Did they have you in a team, or were you just doing it in isolation?
That one there, the last one we shot was last October for Halloween. So we got an opportunity to go out to Sawmill, which again is a great range in North Carolina, South Carolina, I can't remember. But Sawmill, it's a couple hour drive from here, and it was just an amazing match. They squatted us up on teams. And, maybe 6 or 7 guys to a team, very well orchestrated. We got a chance to shoot during the day towards the later part of dusk. And then, of course, when the sun went down, you get a chance to reanimate those matches or reanimate those stages. And it was, again, if you want to test your gear and test your abilities, it's a totally different dynamic. And it's like I said, the most fun. Yeah, as far as an adrenaline dump that you can do.
Totally. I mean,
yeah.
I imagine like everybody has the illusion of safety when you buy a gun, you have it in the house, but how many people are actually ready for a real encounter to happen? Like, what do you run dry scenarios?
It's like anything else. I mean, I would never publicly, give advice on how to handle that. All I could really say is that, firearm familiarization, training is mostly key. As a martial artist yourself, that most of the teachers, most of the people who teach that kind of combative type work will always teach you to, avoid these types of situations to begin with anyway. But like you say, when somebody invades a home or invades your space or a car, it puts you in a very funny predicament. That's why having a, melanator on hand is usually great because the dog works without any kind of emotion and can sense hostility. But for us, I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, you go into that I don't know, what do they call it? Kind of like
pressure testing.
Yeah, pressure testing, fight or flight or whatever, when your adrenaline gets kicked up, but just being familiarized with your home. If I had to give any advice, knowing where your exits, knowing where you can go to, where you keep firearms, where you keep them loaded. It's a safety issue probably more than anything else. The last thing you want to do is accidentally have an accidental discharge in your own home or injure yourself, maybe injure a loved one that's coming home late that didn't use the doorbell. I mean, that's happened. So that's the biggest thing. It takes a lot of, it takes a very, very interesting kind of person to want to breach somebody's home, to come in your home. It's likely that if they do, they're not going to just rob you and leave you blind, So training and familiarization with the firearms is probably the key thing, I think, to anything else.
Yeah.
Most people that carry guns never even train. with them at all. Shoot off one shot, and they
think that's how
they don't understand the recoil. They don't know how to load, unload. Half of them can't manipulate the firearms themselves. But
same thing with dog training. I see this with a lot of new owners. They will have tools, but they don't understand. And I'll liken it exactly to what you're describing here. If I say, how do you use a gun? They say, I just pull the trigger. I'm like, okay. Oof. But how do you clear malfunctions? Do you know how to take it apart, clean it, put it back together? And usually the answer is no. And the same is true with like a prong collar or a remote collar. Or do you understand that the leash pressure is actually a language? It's the GPS
Sure.
and translator. So I love that. Tool familiarization, weapon familiarization. I've always said that there's a through line between martial arts, combat training, and dog training.
Absolutely. I think that there's some similarities and some things along those lines. So tell me a little bit, okay, outside of like being a badass martial art, freaking kick ass everybody's butt, what do you do for fun? What do you like to do?
Well, I like to do pole. I got introduced to that a little over a year ago by my cousin. She invited me to come over and said, I have to show you something. So I came over and she had installed a dance pole.
Okay.
And it's basically gymnastics mixed with dance. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And interestingly, all the grips on pole are the same as they are in jiu-jitsu and martial arts.
Yeah.
Whether you're gripping with your hands, your elbows, your biceps, your knees, your feet, your calves, it's all the same. And
Absolutely.
the angles have to be correct, so it's all core. And I would say maybe about 3 months into learning, I stopped doing weight training at the gym and started focusing solely on that. And I mean,
so just basically using your body weight to manipulate your muscle strength.
Yeah, so
it's got to be a lot, because I mean, just seeing the videos and the things that you've posted in your stories, you look at it, it's great, because it's like, oh wow, man, that's sexy, everything else. But it's just like, if you see the dynamics of it, it's like, I can't do that.
Well, to make it look beautiful and
to make it beautiful
and, sexy,
and everything else, and to be able
power.
to swing your body weight, controllably is a very, very difficult thing. But I see what you mean about your upper body strength and your core and everything else. For men or women both that do this type of work, it takes a lot, and it's a good
balance.
Yeah.
Especially because I work in male-dominated industries with the dog training and the martial arts. So dance is a nice balance for that.
Sure.
It's a place where I can let that more feminine side come out, and it still it's still difficult and challenging enough where I can push myself to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do things now. It's actually enhanced my martial arts game.
Sure.
From a physical standpoint, like unreal. I used to not be able to do flips, and I mean, now I can. It's crazy.
I just flip the fuck out.
That counts too.
I don't do anything. I just get upset and I flip. Usually
Or
people
flip a
get freaked out. They're like, oh my God, Tony's flipping out again. I was like, yeah, I got it. I'm cool. It's funny.
It is.
I try not to. But anyway, so you're from Florida, no?
My dad's from Florida. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Okay. And that's where you're in Austin, but
I'm
you're
in Austin now, yeah.
So you were born in Texas. So that's awesome. I love freaking Texas. Yeah. So tell me, what's the favorite thing about Texas that you love the most?
Probably the people. We're really hospitable, but I think that most people in Texas live by the motto, be kind but take no shit.
I'm gaining that respect, because every time I visit Texas, that seems to be the consensus that I'm gathering.
And we're a gun sanctuary state. So.
Absolutely. They don't care if you carry. They don't care if you carry.
No, it's
even every time I go shopping, they're like, "Hey, man, you carrying a gun?" It's like, man, I'm carrying 2 guns. They're like, all right, yeah, it's excellent, So yeah, but we love the Texas area. My son Adam lives in the Austin area, so. And,
has he been out to Bandera? My father has a ranch out there, and that's probably one of my most favorite places to be.
I'm not sure. I think probably the only place that I visited while I was out there is he's taking me downtown, and then we recently did I think it was a boat trip on Lake. Am I saying maybe Lake Travis? Am I saying that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Yeah, we all got
wakeboarding?
snookered. No, it was a big boat and had a good time, and just it was wonderful. It was so freaking hot outside, but. Totally drank too much, almost drowned. It was just like, it was great. It was a good time. Lost my glasses. One guy hit me in the head with a ball and knocked my glasses off. It was just like...
that kind of thing happens on the boats, when you're drinking.
Yeah. No, that was definitely a good time. But so tell me, I mean, outside of, being stateside and things, do you have any, what's your ambitions? What's your goals for 2023? What do you see for you?
That's a good question. The next stage of the plan is... I'm looking to get a property to expand so I can start facilitating different programs that I want to run for the dog training.
Sure.
And I'd like to have everything on site, dojo, so this way everybody can come to my place.
Okay.
Maybe create a clubhouse so everybody that's part of that can just come to the property, be with other people who are like-minded. Same thing with setting up a gun range there.
Absolutely.
Something similar to like what you have here.
Yeah, I gotcha. So that's your end game. Is you want to have a dojo and you want to have a little training facility of your own. What would you call it?
That's a good question. Tiffany's Rough Riders. RUFF.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, cool. Any questions for me or anything?
So many.
I hear you.
But I actually brought the bee that you gave me that Bastion
cool.
had given me.
Okay.
And I need to start my collection of your knives. You've shown me so many beautiful ones since I've been here, and I'm just blown away.
Awesome. Well, being that you say that, I have something for you today. So this is a knife called the Brachial. It was a design that we did with Bastian from Bastinelli Knives. It's an auto, but I think it fits your realm of fighting and everything else. It's a gift from our team to use. So
thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Wow, that was
typically, normally I got to stab you in the hand, bleed you a little bit, and you give me a coin. But maybe we could look at that later.
Well, I got to take
But this one here, it's very sturdy. We love the design. Bastian is just his creativity and his level of attention towards knives that really work in this type of atmosphere and field is just amazing. Yeah, it'll pop out of your hand, so hold it tight. Yeah, I'll have to show you. Yeah, it's not firing. No, it'll fire.
No, it's not.
Here, let me see. Okay. Yeah, the button's a little recessed on that one there, so you got to kind of just get it.
One.
Yeah. So button on the front, face side. Again, it's so that it won't go off in your pocket. Just kind of, but once it's locked open, you can manipulate the knife really easy in the hand. I know this style is just very, very good for your type of movements and everything else. And it is lethally sharp. So play with it, enjoy it, but that's a first one for you. So check it out.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button. That's what happens when you're left-handed.
That's a tricky thing is, there you go. You got it? No, you got it. There you go.
Perfect.
It'll take a little practice, but I figured that'd be one that you would dig.
This is beautiful. Thank you. I love
the bee is cool because it's quick. It's just like right now, just pull it from the sheath and use it.
Yeah, the bee is awesome, and this one is my favorite one. Usually when I pull it out of my pocket, this one just snaps into position. The Mako.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is that also a Bastinelli design? Oh yeah, man, I love his stuff.
This one's my absolute favorite.
I got a show for the record. I got these from France and Bastien. They bring me so much happiness, but these things are freaking great. He had them on his table. So we're at the Utah show and I see him and they're over there and they're like fucking, I see my bro, he's doing all these moves and I'm fucking like nunchucks and shit and this guy hanging off these things. I'm like, what the fuck is that? He goes, bro, he goes, you can get and you can use it as a weapon on the plane. I'm like, I like that already. I like beads, because I'm like zen into that sort of thing. And he goes, I'm wrapping these with like spectral wire. So he's like, dude, when you get in a fight and you got to choke, it's like, yeah, maybe I just choke myself. But it's really, really cool. But it's probably one of the neater things. He always gets really cool.
Yeah, he's got
such great ideas. And I fucking love it to death. And, out of everything I own, it's probably the pieces. Like I said, I wear a couple. These are made out of wood, these here. But they're a lot lighter. Where that's I think it's an onyx stone.
Yeah, that's way lighter. They just look like prayer beads, though. That's amazing. He's so good at camouflaging.
I know. And it's just...
Because I have his hair chopstick,
Sure. Yeah, and it's just really great stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I don't know what it is about these. I mean, I can own anything in the world, but I love these things more than anything. And these so far now have been everywhere with me where I've gone. So...
They're good luck.
I totally dig them. But yeah, I highly recommend these sort of things. But, stuff like that's just cool. Not because of the weapon value, just... I don't know. They give me a little piece for some reason.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's kind of cool. Well, anyway, so yes, welcome to the first podcast. We'd love to work with you as Microtech and the teams are really excited to learn a little bit. I think some of our teammates would love to be able to handle knives just a little bit better and understand a little bit more about the martial arts. I mean, it's intriguing to anybody.
I would love to share that.
So yeah, even myself, I'm always open to learning and just being able to handle. And we see the work that you've done has been very precise and very accurate. Yes, of course, we watch you do the pole work and it's awesome and you're beautiful and it's sexy and it's alluring, but just the fighting and the techniques and everything you've done have been really, really kind of neat for us to say, hey, guys, check out, Tiffany, look at the work she's doing. Would you love to maybe take a class, have her come in and do a tutorial for you guys? And everybody was just so geeked out on it. So we look forward to having you come back.
Yeah, it would be my honor.
Yeah. And likewise, if you want to learn a little bit about the gun, like I said,
100%.
For me, I'm considered to be novice at best. I do okay, but we got some men amongst our team that are just unbelievable that would love to be able to shoot with you and teach you what they know. So
same,
you're welcome.
That.
Yeah,
thank you.
Get on the line, and then the biggest thing too is understanding. I think there is a little bit of a value to see how like the knives are made, at least from our perspective. It gives you a better perspective on how these things are done. And I think like with anything, understanding and knowledge is power. So
absolutely, I would love to be part of that.
Yeah. So we look forward to seeing what kind of synergies we can do. But I think, for a lot of people, especially from, females or even males, I think, the idea, I never considered ourselves really to be, weapons makers. We make pocket knives for healing. Every time I hear a story of somebody being saved with our products, we rejoice, and it's worth every day that I've ever worked. So
that's so important.
But preserving one's own life too is also important too. That harmony that we could have, especially in today's day and age.
Responsible usage of these tools can save a life.
Absolutely, including your own. So anyway. So yeah, I was going to, most of the podcasts I do, I wanted to introduce this gun. Recently picked up out of a collection from my buddy Matt Grassi out of Pennsylvania. He's awesome. I don't know where this kid gets all this stuff, but he's like my hero. But this is a Beretta BM59. It is a pre-86 pre-sample, and it's chambered in 308. Just kind of a neat gun. But check it out. Yeah. Got a little weight to it.
What year was this made?
It would have been definitely manufactured prior to 1986, so probably an 80s vintage or sooner. But it's an original Beretta import, which is kind of really cool. It's kind of a neat piece. Just thought I would share that with you today. Awesome. Yeah. With the folding stock and everything else. So
yeah, beautiful.
It's styled after almost kind of like an original M14, but the Italians did a good job on these. So I just thought I would share that today.
Yeah, love it.
Anyway, everyone, we want to thank you for joining us on our 9th podcast, the lovely Tiffany Trichter. Wait, Trichter. I got it. I'm sorry. It's the wine.
It's the wine.
But thank you so much for coming, and we do appreciate it. And it's good to be back to hosting these type of events. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet.